Hi there, and welcome to Q&A Wednesday. I am Melissa Fillmore, and I am here to answer your questions about health and fitness to the best of my ability. And I have a great one for you tonight. Really quick, just some housekeeping before I get started. There will be no Meals with Melissa this Saturday, as I will be coaching for bikini girls in Bend, Oregon. Yes, I know it's Memorial Day weekend. It's a great show. If you are anywhere in the area, you definitely got to come see it. It is the Cascadian with the NPC. Great show. Dominic Current runs that. It's an incredible show. We love going down there, and of course it's such a beautiful area. So our girls look good. We're pretty excited about that. So that's where we'll be this weekend. But other than that, I'm here to stay. So today's topic is on metabolism. You know, it's interesting, and you know, when I was younger, I didn't really understand what people talk about when they say their metabolism would slow down, or you know, as we get older, that we don't. It's harder to lose weight. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're going to talk about what metabolism is, why it slows down, and some things that you can actually do to boost your metabolism. You know, there's not really trick your metabolism, but definitely boost it so that you find it a little bit easier to lose the weight. Again, you know how I feel about that. Weight loss is not a good option. I like fat loss. So we're talking about that today. And if you have questions, I see lots of people popping up. Hey, Olivia. Definitely pop your questions down there. I get my best ideas from you guys. And so I love it when you guys respond and ask lots of questions while we're going. And sometimes I have to answer them on the side if it's completely off topic, but I do the best I can to make sure that that we answer your questions. And honestly, I don't know everything, but I'm going to teach you all that I know, because there's so much misinformation out there, and I really want to make sure that people know how things really work. That is kind of, you know, as a former school teacher, that's my deal. I like to teach people. I want to make sure that people are doing things the right way and really trying to live a healthy lifestyle versus all these gimmicks and the garbage that you see on TV and the things that you think you see on Instagram that, you know, they're all doing great, but again, you're just seeing their highlights. So let's talk about what is metabolism. Now, it's kind of a really complicated answer, so I'm going to give you just the easiest answer possible. It's how your body takes the food and drink that you eat and breaks it down and turns it into energy. That's how it's the fuel source for your body. That's metabolism. It breaks it down, it turns it to energy so that you basically can move and function. And so what actually determines metabolism is a few things. Obviously, you know, your genetics can determine your metabolism just a little bit. You know, you can look back at your family tree and see how does your mother look, how does your father look. That will play a role in there, but also where you currently are, your body size, your shape, your composition right now. That will make a huge difference. You know, the more muscle you have, we'll talk about this in a minute, the more muscle you have, the higher the metabolism. So that makes a difference. Also, whether you are male or female can make a big difference as well, because of course guys tend to have less body fat on average than women, just because of course we're the ones that grow the babies. So we tend to carry a little more body fat in order to support those needs. So of course guys tend to have a little bit higher metabolism than women. Also your age. You know, when we're growing and we're young, you know, our body needs that energy source so that we can grow and our cells can reproduce. And as we get a little bit older, that changes. It slows down a little bit. And I've got some stats on that in a few minutes, but it changes a little bit because of course we're not trying to increase height at this point. Again, we can trick our bodies a little bit to keep high metabolism, but in general, our body, when we slow down, that changes a little bit. Now, we do have something called a basal metabolic rate. Some people interchange that with resting metabolic rate, and they're actually just slightly different. But a basal metabolic rate means, you know, the minimum amount of calories your body needs in order to function, because you still, whenever you're at rest, you still burn calories. Your body still has to work. Your heart still has to pump. Your brain still has to fire. Your nervous system still has to function. And so that requires calories. So it kind of comes down to, it's like putting fuel in your car. Thanks, Adrian. So if you never put fuel in your car, it can't run. You know, if you ever went on a starvation diet, you know, try to run on fumes, it doesn't work very well. So you need a fuel source in order to function. So a basal metabolic rate is your personal minimum amount of calories your body needs in order to function. Resting metabolic rate is how much you need to function if you are resting for the day. You're not going anywhere. And of course, part of the calories, that's why we talk about moving more in order to burn calories and raise your metabolic rate, your metabolism. So again, we'll talk about that as we're talking a little bit about ways to boost your metabolism. in order to process food, your body takes that into consideration as well. In order to break foods down and actually utilize them, there is a certain amount of thermogenesis that has to go on in order to do that. And so that actually requires calories in order to do that. So that's part of it. And so depending on whether you are eating healthy foods or processed foods, again, I'll talk about this in a minute, your body has to rev up. So like proteins, your body actually has to rev up a little bit higher to break proteins down. They're a slower digesting product or nutrient, so your body has to rev up a little hotter. That's why I call it's more of a thermogenic nutrient than, say, carbs. So that, about 10% of your calories that you burn actually comes from breaking down the nutrients. So also physical activity. The more that you move, of course, the more calories that you need. Now keep in mind, something that I find really interesting, I get clients that will come in and they'll really be struggling that day and they're like, I don't know what's going on. I ate plenty today. And I'm like, how much did you eat yesterday? Did you eat a good amount of calories? Are you eating the right amount of calories and macros that we've talked about? And they have to sometimes think about what they did the day before. For me, I'm not as affected as much by what I eat today. I'm affected more about what I ate yesterday. It affects me more today. Does that make sense? If I didn't get all my food in, or if I'm not getting the amount of nutrients in that I really need, I feel it the following day, because of course it takes my body a while to break it all down and to utilize the nutrients in order to function. So I find that fascinating. And again, we'll kind of keep coming back to this. I know I bounce around just a little bit, but I get so excited. Sometimes it's hard to not talk about stuff. So those are the things that kind of play into your role of your metabolism in general. Now, reasons why your metabolism may drop, okay? And because it does. There are some certain things that actually affect your metabolism. Number one is if you are very high fat, if your composition, if you're very high, if you have very high percentage of body fat. So way back when I was in my late 20s, my early 30s, I was actually as high as 46% body fat. Of course, my metabolism isn't going to be as high. My body doesn't have a need for as much metabolism to break down because, of course, I've got so much storage that my body can't figure out what to do with it. Again, the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism. Again, we'll talk about that in a second, but that can play a huge role into it. Age does play a role. Like I said, if you're not growing anymore, the older we get, the less that our cells. When you're a kid and you got a cut and it healed like within a couple of hours, even not even a full couple of days. That's because your metabolism was so fast. It was really good at healing. As we get older, that slows down a little bit. And of course, depending on how healthy we are and what we do to be healthy, that can play a huge role in that. But that's why maybe your grandmother or your grandparents really, as they do have injuries or get hurt or have certain issues, it takes so much longer for them to heal because their metabolism is so much slower. I found some research on that where it says that your basal metabolic rate, I'm struggling with my words today. It's called not enough carbs, actually decreases about 1 to 2% per decade after about age 20. And up to 10% a year after age 45. So again, if we don't give our body a reason to stay in a higher metabolic situation, it will just drop automatically because of course it doesn't need to run as high. Another reason that it might be dropping, if you eat more processed food than clean whole food, your body doesn't have to work as hard to break it down. It's already processed into a state where your body absorbs it very, very easily. And that's why we talk about that, eating clean actually raises your metabolism a bit because your body has to work so much harder to extract the nutrients from it. And if you're eating a lot of processed food, unfortunately, you're getting a lot of empty calories. We talk about how, the processed food contains they're empty calories. There's nothing to it. You're not getting vitamins, minerals. You're not getting the nutrients that you actually need from it. If you think of your body as kind of a race car, if you put really cheap, crappy gas into it that has not what it needs to run, it's not going to run super well, right? And of course, it burns through that gas or the food really, really quickly versus if you eat clean whole foods. Now, let me describe that. Clean whole foods, one of the best options I ever heard was somebody said that, if you can't kill it or grow it, you probably shouldn't be eating it. So shop the outside of the grocery store, the walls, the outer walls, produce, lean proteins, anything that's boxed, frozen. Now, not everything that's frozen, some vegetables and things that are flash frozen are still a decent option. as long as they don't add a whole lot of sodium or chemicals to make it, anything that's shelf stable, boxed, those kind of things are going to be a lot higher in sodium and preservatives, and our body doesn't know what to do with that. So that becomes kind of a problem. But also, if you are not taking in enough food, your metabolism will drop to conserve your energy. So for people who do a lot of crash diets, they talk about, kind of, how do they put it? Not ruining your metabolism, but really causing your metabolism to drop in a way that's not beneficial to you. People who do like the 1,200 calorie diet, which, by the way, if you saw my new ebook's out, it is called 1,200 calorie diets and other BS. Yes, I know I say the full word, but get over it. Because again, it's not healthy. Your metabolism will drop to meet it. It has to conserve. So if you're not eating enough food, your body is actually freaking out. Your body doesn't know the difference between starvation and diet. So if you're not feeding enough food, it goes, oh my God, I'm starving, and I need to preserve everything and conserve everything that I have. And so why would it release fat? It wouldn't release body fat in that position. Also, the next one is cortisol or stress. If you are in a very stressful situation in your life, whether that's at work or in a relationship, or, these days we live such stressful, hectic lifestyles that our body continuously produces cortisol. And cortisol is that fight or flight hormone, where some cortisol is necessary. That's what helps us wake up in the morning. That's part of our circadian rhythm. When it gets light out, it gives us a little jolt of the cortisol in order to wake us up. But most of us have a lifestyle where we're so stressed out all the time that it continuously, our bodies, it actually burns out our adrenals in some situations. It keeps producing cortisol, and we never get a break from that. And so our body actually will store body fat in the abdominal region because of the cortisol. It also messes with all of our other functions, and it actually can drop our metabolism. So that plays a huge role in there. Stress does. And also hormones, hormones are the messengers of our body. It's what tells our body, hey, do this, do that. It's not just estrogen and testosterone, which of course are our sex hormones. It's also, our insulin. In this situation, when if our hormones aren't running correct, the hormones play together, and when one gets off, it can actually set all the others off as well. So as you get older, or if you are really struggling with things with like fatigue or lethargy, you might have your thyroid checked, because your thyroid actually is what controls your metabolism. Case in point, I did not understand for the last 4 years I've had a thyroid issue, and so now that I know that I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, I'm able to counterbalance that, taking the right things to help my thyroid work well. And although I didn't really struggle with my metabolism, I've always been able to really do what I need to do to lean out for whatever I'm working for. Makes a huge difference in my energy level. So that can also play a huge role in why your metabolism is dropping, especially as we get older, or if we've done some sort of damage to our situation. Gut health plays a huge role in that. So keep that in mind, that everything is holistic, it's integrated, and that if you have one issue, it can actually wreak havoc on the rest of your body. Whether it's, again, stress can have a huge impact on our metabolism, on our overall physical situation. So it's all integrated. You can't separate that. So how can you boost your metabolism? Some of these are going to sound counterintuitive to what you learn other places. It's unfortunate that this day and age, number one, we don't learn enough in school about health and nutrition. I really find, considering I'm a former school teacher, I'm really frustrated with the situation where we don't get educated on how to actually live life. So, they're going to teach us chemistry, but yet we literally have no idea how food works in our bodies, because they don't teach it. They don't teach nutrition. As a matter of fact, I have a 10-year-old, and he gets like 15, 20 minutes to eat at school, which makes no sense. Not only that, but school food, I don't even let my son eat school food anymore. I make him take his own lunches, because what the school deems nutritious, or what our federal government deems nutritious, at least in the way of our school system, is ridiculous and stupid. I believe and it's not that sugar film, it's the other one. I can't think of what it's called right now, but they talk about how in the school system, they actually consider pizza as a vegetable, which Wow, that's about all I can say about that. So, nothing is homemade. Everything is pre-sourced, pre-made, high in sodium. I mean, we're kind of contributing to the situation with our diabetes in our children because we don't have healthy food available for them. So that can be a problem. So here's some things that you can do to actually help boost your metabolism. Like I said, some of them might seem counterproductive, but you're going to have to trust me on this. My thought on this is, how's what you're doing working for you? If it's not currently working for you, maybe you need to do something different, because the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting different results. So, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds, so I go on the same crash diet, have the same problem, gain it all back plus some, and I've ruined my metabolism for, however long until I figure out how to fix it. So number one, eat breakfast. Don't tell me that you don't eat breakfast and it doesn't feel good to you. There are ways around that. I've even offered some of my clients who really struggle to actually eat food first thing in the morning, maybe get a protein shake in just to get jump started. Your best option is within an hour of getting up. If you don't, you're missing out on a whole opportunity to stoke your metabolism. It's kind of like trying to start a fire without kindling. If you don't feed the fire, it can't burn. So if you don't give your body an ability to actually to rev up, it's not going to. It might just be a little bit, but coffee does not count. That is not going to rev up your metabolism. Here's my biggest issue with how a lot of people that I work with, and this is fairly normal. I hear this a lot. They get up in the morning and they might drink a cup of coffee, and then they get to work, and because they're in a rush and we wake up late, or we stayed up too late because we're watching some show, and so we've woken up late and we're rushing to get to work. And by maybe 10 or 11, we start to actually feel hungry. So maybe we eat a bagel or a muffin, because those sound like healthy things, right? And then by maybe, 2 or 3, we're like, okay, well now maybe I need some lunch, because at noon I wasn't ready for lunch because I ate a bagel at 10 or 11 o'clock. And so then by the time we get home at 5 or 6, we're ravenous because we've eaten barely anything that day. And then we go, okay, well, I've had no calories, so I can afford to have whatever I want because I haven't eaten anything today. Worst possible situation, because now what you've done is you've made your metabolism drop to 0, right? Because you haven't fed it. And then you're putting garbage on top of no metabolism, and your body goes, oh my God, I have to store this, right? So worst possible option. If you eat more often, eat small meals more often. Now, yeah, I've heard the everything. I've worked with people that do intermittent fasting, which is fine. If you find that it works for you, intermittent fasting is eating your day's worth of calories within a certain time frame. And while I'm okay with more of like a 12-hour period for that, because it follows your circadian rhythm, I'm not okay with like a 3-hour option for a couple of reasons. Number one, it doesn't allow your blood sugar to stabilize. Number two, you have to get all your calories in with that time frame. So if you're a bigger person and you need 2,600 calories, that's a lot of food to eat, especially clean, wholesome food, healthy food within a 3-hour period. Mostly what I find is that when people are doing intermittent fasting, they're not even following any rules. They're just doing whatever they feel like. I had a gal once that was like, well, this is how it's going to work. And when I kind of prodded her a little bit further for information, she just doesn't eat. I can't help you with that. Like, if you don't feed your body fuel, it will not run. So eating breakfast, you should be eating the majority of your nutrients earlier in the day, because if you eat them at night, it's kind of opposite of what a lot of us have learned to do. We eat like giant dinners and we eat nothing at breakfast. Well, then we're sleeping on that. Not the best option, right? Not only that, but you're more prone to binge or eat things that you won't normally, that aren't healthy, right? That's, late night snacking, chips, sugar. The problem is when you sleep, your body actually needs protein in order to start the recovery process and build muscle. And what we're feeding it is garbage. And so it stores it as fat and breaks down your current muscle in order to try to replenish itself. That's called metabolism. Anyhow, so that's number one. Number two, lift weights. Ladies, you will not get bulky. I don't know how many times I have to repeat myself on this. You do not understand how much food I eat in order to get the size that I have. It's a lot. Lifting weights, lifting heavy weights will not make you bulky. Eating cupcakes will make you bulky. So the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism. They say that for about for each pound of muscle you put on, it's about 50 calories in order to maintain that. So the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism, even while you sleep. How is that a bad thing? It raises your metabolism overall. So lifting weights and building muscle is actually a hugely beneficial option when you're trying to build your metabolism. Eat more. Now, let me back up and say that not eat more garbage, okay? Because some people view that as everybody's looking for a loophole, right? You know, I'm going to eat a healthier version of ice cream so I can eat more of it. Still contains sugar, guys. Eat more healthy food. The problem that I come upon is that most people, when I look at what they're eating, are not eating enough food. Because of course we've all heard, you know, if we're trying to lose weight, eat less. No, eat less garbage, eat less crap. Because of course processed food, again, your body doesn't have to work as hard to absorb it. It's going to absorb more of it. That's kind of when a calorie is not really a calorie. When it's processed food, your body absorbs all of it. When it's whole food and clean food, then your body actually has to work so much harder to break it down. It takes a while to extract all of the healthy nutrients, the vitamins and minerals from that food. So if you eat more food, let me put it this way. If you want to lose weight, you actually need to have a deficit in calories to an extent. Macros do play a role in that depending on your goals. But, you know, 500 to 700 calories deficit is plenty. Anything more than that, I won't let my clients have more than 1,000 calorie deficit because your body, again, thinks it's starving, right? And so then it's going to slow down and hold on to everything that it has for dear life. And eat more often. Now, again, I know that people say, well, it doesn't matter when you eat. Here are the benefits of eating more often. Number one, you're not going to get so hungry that, hey, Paul, how you doing? You're not going to get so hungry that you're going to be tempted by things that you know you shouldn't eat or unhealthy foods. You know, some of us actually have an unhealthy relationship to an extent with food. I eat when I want to eat. I don't do this anymore. When I get stressed out, if I haven't eaten for a while, I am more likely to eat something I shouldn't, right? It helps balance your blood sugar, your energy level. You know, throughout the day. So it keeps you moving more. If you've ever kind of got to 2 or 3 in the afternoon and really crashed, it's because you're not eating in enough intervals. They actually say that grazing actually has been proven as a little bit more beneficial. Honestly, I just break things down into like 6 smaller meals or 3 meals and 3 snacks. And I plan mine out. Like, I don't leave anything to chance, because if you want to be healthy, you have to do it on purpose. It doesn't happen by chance. But eating more often can actually keep your metabolism stoked and keep you burning, right? Move more. Now, yeah, we talk about that all the time. We really live in a society today where everything's handed to us. Things are convenient. If you need something, you just pop into the store. You'd go through the drive-through. We've created a sedentary society and can't figure out why obesity is such a problem. So get off your butt. I mean, that's all that it is. Park a little further. I know you've heard these. Park a little further from the store. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. I highly recommend that you get a tracker of some sort, whether it's a Fitbit or anything that tracks what you do, because I believe that everything's a formula. If you can figure out what the formula is and what variables to change, you can make a difference in what you're trying to accomplish. You can reach your goals. So if you are tracking how many steps you take, anything less than 2,000-3,000 steps, you are technically considered sedentary. If you have a job where you sit all day, you're going to have to find ways to move more, because that's what it's going to take in order to burn more calories, right? To help your body raise its metabolism. And also, I like anything that tracks not just your steps, but your activity level for that as well. I've known people where they take lots and lots of steps, but it's because they're moving back and forth doing what they're doing, which they're not really getting their heart rate up, and they're not burning any extra calories. They're on their feet, they might be tired, but they're not really getting the energy output that they need. Number 5, so that was move more. Number 5, okay, supplements. You guys, fat burners are not as effective as people think they are. You can't undo pizza and a beer with a fat burner. You know, the research shows about 100 calorie swing, so you need to be really kind of on top of it for a fat burner to really work. However, it has been proven that green tea, the caffeine and the I don't even know how to say this. It's like catching, whatever. There's an element, there's an ingredient in green tea that's actually shown to help boost metabolism. So, you know, that's a natural option, and especially because regular caffeine, I call it the powdered cocaine caffeine, that you find in energy drinks and 5 Hour Energy and all of those options. first of all, that's really hard on your adrenals. And number two, it's just not as effective. A natural caffeine source or a product like this will actually level you out and keep your energy level kind of even, balanced, versus a high and then a crash, kind of like what sugar does, which is my next one. You know, if you're trying to build your metabolism, cut sugar, cut trans fats, cut out high fructose corn syrup, and especially diet soda. Guys, once in a while diet soda is okay, but if you regularly drink a 6-pack every day or every 2 or 3 days, you know, that contains sugar substitutes, which we talked about last week, which can be just as detrimental to your metabolism as real sugar, because something sweet on your tongue, your body assumes you're going to get carbs. So you produce a round of insulin and then it goes nowhere. And that's kind of how insulin resistance can occur, and also inflammation. It's also been known that some of those products can cause kind of a disturbance with your hormone levels that tell your body whether you're hungry or full, your leptin and your ghrelin levels. So all of a sudden your body goes, okay, wait a minute, am I full? Am I, you know, if you've ever eaten a lot of candy or a lot of products that do contain high fructose corn syrup, the research has shown that it can really lead to overeating because your body doesn't know that it's full. Number 7, okay, I got to talk about this one because organic food is, the point to organic food is just eating produce and eating food that actually has more nutrients in it. So organic is not what everybody thinks it is. Or saying that it's organic does not automatically make it healthier, because organic just means that it doesn't use synthetic pesticides. That's the only thing that it means. Doesn't mean that they don't use pesticides. They can use natural pesticides. But organic, certified organic, just means they did not use synthetic pesticides. So just saying that it's organic does not make it all of a sudden healthier. However, because our soils today get so depleted of nutrients, where the product grows can actually make a huge difference as to whether or not you're getting the things that you need, the vitamins and the minerals. So getting locally sourced food, produce, lean protein is actually a better option, because you know where it came from, you know that it's been homegrown, it's been a little more washed over, and if you can grow your own vegetables, you know exactly what's in it. You have a little more control over it. So that's definitely something that can help boost your metabolism, because even when fruits and vegetables are void of all the nutrients that your body needs, your body's going to process them a lot faster. Protein. Okay. This one's just a huge, there's definitely some different ideas on this one. You know, the amount of macros that you eat. Now, macronutrients are carbs, fats, and proteins. Those are your major macronutrients. Water technically is a macronutrient as well, but when we talk about macros, that's what we're talking about. How much of each you eat really depends upon what your goals are. But I would say that the majority of the people that I work with are not eating enough lean protein. Now, if you are vegetarian or vegan, you can still get more protein. It's going to be a little harder because you have to work a little bit harder to get those complete proteins. And because you're not eating lean meats, I mean, you're going to have to really pay attention to what you're getting. But the protein is a thermogenic nutrient, first of all, but it also supports your muscle growth. If you don't give your body enough protein, unlike baking a cake, if you were to bake a cake and forget, say, the baking soda, because you're baking it from scratch, it might not turn out right, but it will still bake. Unfortunately, if you don't give your body the right amino acids, which is what we get from protein in order to build and maintain muscle, your body doesn't even try to build or maintain it. It actually breaks down your current muscle to try and rebuild itself, right? And to deliver it to what needs it most at the moment. So if you're not getting enough protein, and technically if you're not getting enough carbs, but that's a topic for another day, your body actually your metabolism will drop. So again, how much of that you need is determined by what your goals are. But I would say that most of the people I work with aren't even getting 50 grams of protein a day, and that is just not enough. I won't even tell you how many grams I eat right now. That's a whole other ballgame. Also, number 9, get enough sleep, right? Here's the deal. If you aren't getting enough sleep, your body's not resetting, it's not recovering, it's not growing muscle, it's not releasing growth hormone, you're not getting the energy rejuvenation that you need. And when you don't get the energy from your sleep, your body will need to try to get it from somewhere. So you will have more cravings. You will need to eat more food because, again, you have to have fuel from something. So part of making sure that your body's running efficiently and at its best is making sure that you're getting enough sleep. Also your metabolism will drop to help conserve energy when you don't have what you need. Hi, Paula. So keep that in mind, that getting enough sleep. And I know that as we get older, sometimes that's a struggle. Eating enough might help with that. Exercise can help with that. There's some other options that don't require medication. I know in some instances that's necessary, but I find that some of the medications don't even allow for deep sleep, which is really what we're needing when we need the sleep. Number 10, water and fiber. I know those are two interesting things, but here's the deal. When you're not giving your body enough water, it gets dehydrated, and of course it's not going to work as efficiently. It's not going to do its job. And so when it's lagging behind, of course what's going to happen? Your metabolism is going to drop. And also it's been shown that eating enough fiber, predominantly from food, but of course if you're not getting that, you can also get that from psyllium or from an outside source, a supplement. But it's been shown to actually help boost metabolism as well, which I find interesting. And my last bonus one, because I don't want to keep you here all night, guys, is really, for the most part, avoid alcohol. Now, I'm not saying that you can't ever drink. The problem with drinking alcohol is that it doesn't necessarily cause fat, but it prevents your body from burning fat. Because when you drink alcohol, the first thing your body has to do, your metabolism has to deal with the alcohol first. Technically, it deems it as a toxin in your body, so it needs to deal with the alcohol first. So depending on how much you drink and how often you drink, that can be a major problem. I've known a lot of clients that do really great during the week and then drink all weekend and kind of undo everything that they've just done all weekend. So that can be a problem. It can actually take up to 72 hours for your body to go back to burning fat if it's dealing with alcohol, depending on how much you drank. So not saying you shouldn't drink, but if you do it on a regular basis, you're kind of contributing to your metabolism drop. So save it for specific situations. Like I only drink when I go to Vegas, or something super special like maybe New Year's Eve. So that's a better option for that. So hopefully, like I said, I know that I've given you a lot of information there, but those are not absurd ways to boost your metabolism. We're not trying to fix it by taking some weird drink that's supposed to burn belly fat. Guys, that doesn't exist, right? You can't drink a drink that's going to burn belly fat and then eat garbage for the rest of the week and expect your body to respond to that. It is about living a healthy lifestyle. And the more that you do it, the higher your metabolism will be. And of course, if there's some issues, you and your doctor can actually do some testing to see if that's part of the situation you're dealing with. So hopefully that was a help today. Doing the best I can to answer your questions. Please, leave a comment below, ask your questions. You can also direct message me. I get my best ideas from you guys. I'm just trying to teach the world like it really is. So have an incredible week, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Have a good night, guys.